Gadadhara Shivashari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Govinda. As mentioned last night, before we ended it, today's session is going to be on understanding what is a man and what is a woman. There's a little confusion these days just about what is a man and what is a woman, both on a physical level and a character level. What are the qualities of a man? What are the qualities of a woman? And a man might come up with qualities of a man that he thinks are masculine, and a woman may come up with qualities of a woman that she thinks is feminine. But there's also the qualities of a man that are necessary for him to be a good husband and father, also the qualities of a woman for her to be a good mother and wife. And so we're going to because this is a course on Grihastha Ashram, we're going to discuss the qualities, the male and female qualities, in relation to that ashram. And the way we're going to do that is you are all going to give us the answers. And so we are first going to begin by asking the women what they think are male qualities. What male qualities do they admire? What male qualities do they look for? And so all of you men then can make a note. Even if you don't want to get married, still you can note. From the point of view of the female, how she defines male. Can we do it? And then when the women finish, we'll do the same thing with the men. They'll describe what they see as female. And so the idea is to understand the context of marriage, what a man is looking for in a woman, what a woman is looking for in a man. As we discussed yesterday, often men are a little emasculated, meaning they may sometimes be lacking in male qualities. Women may be lacking female, having more male qualities. Men may be having, we all have male and female, but it can get out of proportion. So, ladies, you're on call. When you think of a man, a quality man, what do you think of? What are some of the qualities you think of? And Janava is going to write these qualities down, and I think we'll send you these qualities. You can meditate on them. Okay. Men, tighten your seatbelts. Here it comes. Yeah. Oh, you're just, okay.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah, okay. Don't all raise your hands at once. Yes? Protection. And how would you define protection? What kind of protection?
Protection in a sense that I'm looking now from a perspective of a girl who grew up without a father, and I'm thinking what I missed. This male role that I know that he is my security.
Okay.
And that I feel safe in his presence, but also not necessarily physically having him close to me. And somebody who's like cuddling you and taking care of you as a girl, as a lady.
Mm-hmm. You don't have worries. You don't have to worry. Especially when you go to the car mechanic alone as a woman. That can be dangerous. Yeah. Because we want the men to understand this. I think also, there are things which men are just very good at by nature. And so when they do those things for women, then the women feel like, yeah, this is good. I'm not good at this. Right? Generally. Not that they're not good at everything, but fixing the house, fixing the car, doing things that are more male-oriented that women wouldn't like to do. They would appreciate the men doing that men's stuff, lifting the heavy stuff, doing the hard work, dealing with difficult people, right? Something like that. Yeah. Negotiating. Maybe you're buying something, negotiating with these tough men. Things of that nature. Thank you. What else, ladies? Do you expect in a man who is actually a man? And not just a big boy. Yes?
I think that it's very important that there's no duality.
No what?
Duality.
Duality?
That he is not pretending to be something that he could not be. Just be sincere.
Mm-hmm.
Because women, we feel this. When someone is pretending. At the beginning of the party,
Yeah.
after that,
You're going to... It's going to work. Don't worry. It's just, yeah. Don't pretend to be someone you're not, especially in the beginning. Thank you. What else? You can fill in the blanks after they finish. What else? Responsible. What does that look like?
He is taking care of his wife, his family, he knows what his responsibilities are.
Taking care of his wife and family, and other responsibilities. In other words, he's not lazy.
Yes.
Responsible / not lazy. Okay. What else?
Late for me, but when I'm thinking, the husband will hear me.
Listen.
Yeah,
Listen.
also that we have a space for conversation, that we not be 2 days quiet, but that immediately try to talk if we see or we feel to each other that something is wrong.
Would that be called emotional support?
Yes. And also that we have in the middle Krishna all the time. It's very important, because if we are thinking about Krishna and we are attention how we are talking with each other, more polite or yes.
So basically you're saying exhibit the qualities of a devotee. Always exhibit the qualities of a devotee. Yeah. So we had 3 things there. Okay, thank you. What else? This is only for the men, this is only for the women. You can't say what a man is. They're telling you, and of course we'll discuss this further. Yes? Anyone else? Well, that's easy. You only have like 3 or 4 things to do to be a certified man. Yeah. Okay. John is going to tell you a few more things. Are you? You want to say a few more? Yeah, yeah.
I mean, men have a certain nature, and women have a certain nature, and that's been since time immemorial. So when we operate in that natural, God-given, when we operate in that natural, God-given way, then we thrive, and then the other person thrives too, and the relationship thrives. And like Mahatma Prabhu was saying, we all possess some male and some female energies, and that's healthy, because if you're extremely male, over the top male, then that would look very aggressive and very, rough and very volatile and just scary, really. And if we're operating in extreme female, then we're feeling very insecure and very sort of codependent and in a victim mentality. And so those are the extremes, and a male can be in the extreme female as kind of a female, and vice versa. So we want to stay in the healthy realm of male and female, regardless of our gender. And we want to be flexible and fluid so that we can enter the other gender energy when it's required. So the God-given way, the way God made us, we could say, is that the female energy is emotional and loves to find peace and operates on a lot of inspiration and connection and intuitive energy. And we're very cyclical in our behavior because our bodies are very cyclical. So like men, they don't have the same kind of physical, cyclical operating system that we do. So it's much easier for them to just be almost rigid and stick to a very structured schedule and like never get off of it, But women, because of the way our bodies are, we have to be more fluid and flexible and cyclical because of the way our bodies are, and that's okay. So the men shouldn't expect the women to be exactly the way they are, because hormonally and biologically the bodies are really different. And women, they are like men. They solve their problems very quietly and silently. It's more like do an action, figure it out and solve it. Whereas women, we often can just solve our problems by talking about it. So we do love to talk, and talking is therapeutic. It's a therapeutic process to work through our thoughts, our feelings, and often solve our problems. And that's how we take action. And women can multitask, right? We're really good at doing many things at once. Men are unitaskers, they're single taskers. They can actually only do one thing at a time, which is great, because when they do it and they commit to it, that's, they're going to do it till the finish line. Whereas women, we could do many things at once, which is why we're often more wired to take care of children, because children have a lot of needs all at once, or just, going here and going there. So we're a little bit more wired to do that. It doesn't mean men can't do it, but we're kind of wired that way. And our decision-making process is very different. Our decision-making process is based on intuition and feeling. And men's decision-making process is very linear and very logical. Men like to conquest, and they like to just, have they want to conquer things and and make a big impact, and they love challenges, and they love tackling obstacles, and they just love solving problems. That's a very masculine kind of thing to do. So, do you want to add to that?
Yeah. I was hoping to go more in the direction of not generically as much as what men need to grow into to be a full man.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to talk about that?
You can start, and I'll add to it.
Ladies, you want to say some more about what it? Well, maybe what you ladies can say is, what do you see lacking in men in modern world? Maybe that's an easier way to ask the question. What do you find commonly lacking in men that creates problems in relationships? We have irresponsibility. I think we didn't say immaturity, but I think we should add that, right? Emotional immaturity. You want to put that down? Now this, obviously, it's not all men. Something really interesting for men that it's kind of counterintuitive, but in a certain paradigm which I believe is misunderstood, the man is the power. The man is meant to be the guru, and so the guru is like powerful. The guru is in charge. The guru is the one who gives instruction. The guru says the way things should be, and they go that way. So when we say the husband is the guru, there's these men have this connotation of, well, I'm in charge, and things go the way I say. So often in that paradigm, if the wife is upset, the man will just say, calm down, don't be upset. And she'll get angry, and then he'll get angry because she's angry, and she shouldn't be angry because he's the man and she should respect him, so he gets angry or intolerant and so forth because he's meant to be in charge and so forth. But it's actually backwards. Because one important quality of a man, and I think Janava was alluding to this, because we have a different physical makeup, hormonal makeup, our emotional state remains quite steady throughout the day, where women's emotional state shifts more. And when Shastra says men are more intelligent, one of the things they mean is men by nature are a little more detached. They care a little, generally less about how they look, less about the home and such things. And generally a little more self-controlled. Although it's Kali Yuga, everything is mixed up now. So you'll find very self-controlled women, obviously very men who are not very self-controlled. But so these are generalizations. But the idea is that generally the concept of a man, when we think of a man, we think of self-discipline, right? That's a man. He's self-disciplined. He's focused. He's controlled. He has one wife. He's chaste. We don't, like Janava said, we don't use this word with men, but we should. He's chaste to one woman because he's controlled. So obviously women want that. But what's really interesting, when men want to exhibit what they think is male Shakti or male power, often it's female Shakti and they don't realize it. So, for example, if your wife is upset or a woman is upset and you think it's irrational, it's unnecessary, or whatever you think, you often may try to just be very heavy with her. Just stop that. I don't care how you feel. Just put it down because I'm the strong man. But the real strength of the man in that situation would be patience and tolerance with the woman when she's upset. But men get it backwards, so they hit hard. And that's easy to do. right? Because you're actually losing control. So you're getting angry, you're hitting back hard, shut up, stop that, nonsense, blah, blah, blah. Instead of sitting down and saying, wow, I'm really sorry. Or something where you try to understand it and you don't fight it. It requires sense control. Doesn't it? That requires sense control. So a man, we think that's soft, but it's actually an aspect of control, of power, that the wife is upset and he'll calmly listen. He won't get upset. So one devotee said, and you can take this or leave this, but he said, when husband and wife are fighting, there's two women in the house, because a real man will not fight back. A man will, say, I'm sorry, try to calm, you won't have a head-on fight. Because, and then, men will say, but that's not fair, she's upset with me. And say, yeah, but you're the man. You're meant to be, you're the one who's more emotionally regulated by nature, by mind, by body. So you're meant to be the stable force, not get upset. But if you get upset, then you're now female. So we have two females. No offense to women, but that was, like I said, you can take that or leave that, but I offer that to men. I think it's valuable for men. Does that make sense? Or you want to argue with that one? Or it's okay? Yeah. So there is male, which would be considered male, like from the male to male perspective, what's a man, right? So, two guys are fighting and, one guy's saying, hey, get out of my way, and you're like, I'm not getting out of your way. That's considered male from a male standard. Oh, you're not getting out of my way? Well, I'll get you out of my way. Well, try it. Let's see. That's considered, And then you punch the guy in the face, and all your friends are like, yeah, good. Tough. You're a man, right? But in terms of male-female, that's not male. Because what woman wants to be with a guy who punches people in the face? Because she'll be one of them he's going to punch, right? So if the guy pacifies him and said, I'm sorry, you're having a bad day or something, then she will think, oh, this guy's really good. He's controlled. He's sensitive. So we would think, oh, he's just a girl, right? Look at that guy. You should have punched him in the face, and he's just talking to him. So you have to understand it from a different perspective. When it's in relation to family and father and husband, it's different than just a brawl at the bar, with tough guys. Does that make sense? Yes? No? Maybe? Yeah?
I heard a nice analogy around that, where it's like a man is meant to create like a shell for a woman to create security, and the woman's like a pearl inside the shell, so she feels safe and secure. And so
Yeah. Protection. Right, yeah. So I think the weaknesses of men as Kali Yuga is progressing is there are areas they should protect and they don't. They don't take care of certain things they should. And the woman appreciates that. I mean, sometimes women will take care of things. It's their nature. They're good at it. They won't need him to take care of it. But there are things that she would appreciate he takes care of. And he should do that. That's important. And I think, not that I think, I know, one of the problems we face today is laziness. Where they're not responsible, they don't take initiative where they should. And as Natika Chandrika was saying, listening This is a real challenge for men. It's not one of their natural foremost skills, although some men have that skill, but in general, it's more of a female skill. And it's when we did a workshop. Remember when we did that workshop in Bangalore, and we made groups, and the biggest complaint from the women was that the men were emotionally distant or emotionally in a foreign world. They didn't hear. They weren't able to hear or sympathize with whatever the women needed on an emotional level. And that's just a natural, I think it's a natural challenge for men. But when you get married, that's something women need. Maybe they didn't need it hundreds of years ago when they had big families. I don't know. But at least today, it's something the man has to provide. So whether you call that male or not, I'm not sure, but it's just something that is high priority. You wanted to say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think in this day and age, you know, like I was saying earlier, there's sort of these defining gender qualities, which when we operate in those ways, we are in our best self as a female or a male. And then in modern times, I think the roles are not as defined as they were in previous generations and in previous cultures, right? Like in the previous cultures and generations, the women did all the housework and the child care, and the men did all the hunting and gathering and protecting. But we just don't live in that culture anymore, and that paradigm is really outdated. So I think for the men, and we'll get to the women, it's important that they don't think that, you know, just working is enough. You know, I go to my job, I make the money, and I come home, and then I do what I want. No, it's really a 24/7 job to be a husband or a father. So when you come home, then new duties emerge. You know, so if there's children, it's helping take care of the children. If there's housework, you're going to have to do some housework. You know, especially if these days, a lot of times the women and the men work. So it's not like the women are sitting home all day just, you know, eating chocolates and watching soap operas, you know, or just being lazy. They're doing a lot behind the scenes. So when the man comes home, he might think, oh, that's it. But no, it's not. And again, like if the women are working. So then it seems what I've noticed in the healthiest relationships is that the duties and chores in the home and with the children are distributed somewhat equally, and you take turns doing things like cooking and cleaning the house and cutting the grass and, you know, whatever expansion you've created. In my observation, the couples who do best share the mother load. They share the responsibilities way beyond just the traditional, I stay at home and take care of the kids and you go out and work, and then, you know, your job is done and my job continues. So that's just something I've noticed with couples that, yeah. And I think as Vaishnavas, we're taught to do everything. You know, like I think in traditional culture, men don't really cook, but Vaishnav men cook. Some of the best cooks in our movement are men. And, you know, the women go out and preach, and they do things that aren't traditionally feminine either. So that's why I think it's important to understand.
She likes my oatmeal.
That's why I think it's important to understand, you know, what our God-given sort of talents are, but then beyond that, be willing to take on different kinds of responsibilities that that are needed and required, and that Srila Prabhupada has taught us to do.
I think there's also something that I've thought about a lot. You may have read Bhaktisiddhanta's instructions to Grihastas, or Gorkashora Das Babaji's instructions to Grihastas. And basically they told the man, just serve your wife. Because we're servants, we're humble servants, that's our constitutional position, so you should see her as a representative of Radha, and you should serve her, which is not traditionally the Varnashram conception of a husband. It's a much higher position where it's more the wife is serving the husband and the husband is serving God. It's like that. That's kind of the paradigm. So and you'll get that paradigm from Prabhupada's books but you have to read a little bit between the lines of, well, we are Vaishnavas, and so Vaishnavas are transcendental, and my wife is Devi, she's representative of Krishna, so it's not like, I'm not going to serve her because I'm the guru of the house. And sometimes we make that mistake. And so, in Jainava saying, the man has to be more domesticated today than perhaps in the past, to changes in the culture, and everybody, both partners are working. It shouldn't be a difficulty for men if you just think, well, we're devotees, and so we're servants of one another, and whatever has to be done to satisfy the wife or the husband or the children, I should do that. If it makes them happy, I should do it. I think some men are challenged with that idea. They think it's just the duty of the wife to make him happy, and he, like Jainava said, and he just makes the money, and that's all he has to do.
I mean, in these days, it's much more of a partnership. And just to say it again, it's probably the third time I've said it, a lot of times it's the women who are making the money. It's not always the men.
Kornitai ki jai, Panchatattva ki jai.
Or there's equal contribution or whatever. So I think we have to throw a lot of those paradigms, traditional paradigms, the Vedic paradigms, to the side, put them to the side. We don't have to throw them, but we can put them to the side. And like you said yesterday, or even another day, that we have to do what works. So we can look at the scripture and say, oh, that looks nice and that sounds nice, but that's not going to work for us. So what is going to work for us? Let's do that so that we can operate in partnership together and serve Krishna in peace and harmony and make advancement. And if I'm a better provider, then I'll provide. And if he's a better cook, then he can cook. And, we can just share the duties as needed and required.
So, ladies, men like to be respected. They don't like to be criticized. Men, if you don't act respectably, you make it difficult for your wives to respect you. You should respect me, and the wife's thinking, yeah, but just act respectfully. Make it easy on me. So we can't expect the respect that we want if we don't act respectfully. And so a woman appreciates or expects that her husband will be Krishna conscious, will have some kind of regulated sadhana. He's not going to be, on his phone all day, or hours playing video games, this and that, just talking or doing some sport, for hours. She'll expect that he's got enough spiritual strength and energy to have good sadhana and just a good consciousness in general, because if he doesn't, it's really difficult for her to respect him. It's just like so. You want her to respect you, but you've got to be respectable. You can't expect to be respected just because the scripture says you should respect your husband. Yeah, but doesn't the scripture give the qualities of a husband that's respectable? That's it there also. So I think that's important. Yes? You agree?
I think that's a huge problem too. Well, I know it's a huge problem with so much access to unlimited types of internet and social media, and then to pile onto that are those video games. I mean, I have a number of clients, and the husbands have different kinds of very unhealthy attachments and addictions to things on the internet or to playing video games for hours. And I will just tell you right now, those habits destroy marriages, they destroy sadhana, they destroy spiritual life, they just destroy you. And it seems like men tend to have that problem way more than women. Do you want to add to that?
You want me to add pornography to that, or that was implied?
It was implied.
Yeah.
But just that, and if you do have any kind of attachment or addiction to that, or any other thing that you know isn't healthy, like you're just doing too much of it, then you should get help. You should seek support.
Yeah, I think some men think pornography is just innocent attachment and not a big thing. It's not the way the woman sees it. It's like you have another partner, basically, or many other partners. And it's really difficult to be devoted to one woman when you have a lot of other partners who are younger and more beautiful. So if it's just really bad. It's really difficult to have a healthy marriage with that addiction going on. And like Janava said, it has to be dealt with. And as we were discussing yesterday, if I am concerned about having a healthy relationship, having a healthy family, and I find within myself there's something that I am attached to that is creating a problem for my spouse, if I actually care about my spouse, if I actually love my spouse, then don't you think I would try to stop that because it's causing them pain? Yes, of course. And if I say, I don't care, I'm just going to do it anyway, then you're basically saying, I don't really care about how you feel, and thus I don't care about the marriage. So like, why'd you get married then if you don't care about the other person? Ladies, are you getting like any other ideas now that we're having this discussion? Something else you want to share about a man, what it means, what you look for in a man? This is all for the benefit of the men. What's that?
What you would hope for and expect.
Hope for and expect. And this is for their benefit. It can be very idealized. It's, it's anything's on the table right now.
I just have a question. Hare Krishna. Yesterday we spoke a little bit about it, but this question, it's not like how to do or what to do about it, but it just out of curiosity, maybe a question for you, Mahatma Prabhu, because it's from the men's side. Because yesterday I spoke with a few devotees, Matajis, and we share similar things regarding our husbands, and this is like Janavi Mataji, when you said you express yourself, you find your love language and all those things, and you share your model for them, you're doing, but still, even though as much you're sharing about yourself to the spouse, 1-2 days will be like this, and then again, so you have to say like 100 times, but still they don't do it. So the question is not like, what should I do now? No, I'm not about that. But why men don't get it, or what is there? I mean, you said that you are not wired like we are in those sense, but still, because we know, I also have an experience, we need so little, for example, just a little bit, and we're much more happy, but still they don't get it. So what is the reason?
Well, to be blunt, men are interested in basically eating and sex. And if they get that, they're good. And like having to deal with you beyond that is like, oh my God, this is like, do I have to? Just to be like, boil it down, That's part of it. as we've been discussing, men are not as emotionally connected. So if you're expressing emotions, sometimes it's like they may not feel anything because they don't know those emotions or don't understand why you would have those emotions, or just think, yeah, my wife's a little emotional today, which is a polite way of saying she's being crazy today. And so I'm going in the next room, just I need some distance. What helped me, I don't know if this would help all the men, but number one, the man has to want to be a better husband. If he doesn't want to be a better husband, then 100 times it doesn't matter because he's not interested. But somehow he has to want to be a better husband, and maybe you can help him understand the importance of that for the relationship, for you, etc. Because if he's willing to be a better husband, then you can sit him down and say, you're trying to be a better husband. Let me help you. This is really important. Like when I talk, you don't seem to listen. It's really important. So if he's open to be a better husband, you can then try to help. You can help him. And say, when I talk to you, you don't listen. It really upsets me, and I really feel it's harmful for the relationship. And if he cares about the relationship, then if you say this is harmful for the relationship, you would think he would listen, right? But if he doesn't care about the relationship, then you have to go back to why don't you care about the relationship? What do you want? Maybe the relationship is dead. That's why he doesn't care. There is no relationship. And then you have to ask questions like, so if we don't have a relationship, you're okay with that? It's, because that's a pretty blunt question. And a lot of men will say, no, I don't, I want the relationship. Okay, you want it, but we don't really have it. So so I think at least for me, those kinds of conversations are very helpful. Another thing, which maybe we didn't talk enough about yesterday in the Bhagavatam class, is talking to the man and saying, this is an ashram which you need to perfect. And right now, you're really failing in this ashram. You're not doing your duty as a husband. And you're failing your guru, and they have to equate this to Krishna consciousness, because a lot of men separate it. This is just like my Maya, and now I've been married 20 years, I'm over the Maya, so I don't need it all. And so then the relationship is non-existent, or on a scale of 1 to 10, it's at 1 or something. But they don't care. They think, it's at 1, that's good. I'm, 1 away from sannyas. They'll see it like that. It's the relation, it's I'm not attached, I don't really care. And they don't equate that with, no, you're failing in the ashram. That your wife is unhappy. And if you don't get this ashram right, you'll just go out and look at another woman or find another woman, as many men have done. So I think these kinds of discussions are helpful. I really, really think this discussion about this is an ashram to be made successful is essential. Because if that's not there, then it's I'm just not attached. What can I do? And it's good that I'm not attached. Right? So these are the kinds of, and if you can't have those discussions and they don't want to have them, then the next question is, do you want to have this relationship? Because it doesn't seem like you want this relationship because we don't really have one. And maybe that'll shake him up. No, and if he says he wants it, then you've got something to work with. But if he doesn't, okay, that's information for you to decide what's your next step. Yes?
Can I add something?
Yes?
Okay, a couple of little things. So one is, this was really made a big impact on me some years ago when I was talking with a friend who took her householder duties really seriously, in a good way. To me, she was like, a householder superstar. Just, put 150% effort into it. And she said, the reason I'm doing this, I'm fully committing and giving myself to this service and this ashram, is because I figure if I do it right in this life, I'll never have to come back and do it again.
Whoa. Whoa.
And I think about that on occasion, and I'm like, yeah, she's right. Until you perfect it and get it right, you just have to keep doing it. So why not really give your all and do it right? And you're done. You've cleaned. You've checked that box. Don't have to come back and do that anymore. So I really like that. And the other thing I was going to say is, oh gosh, let me think. What was the last thing you were saying?
I was saying that if he's not interested in the relationship, you just have to be blunt about it. If he's not doesn't understand it's an ashram and making it perfect, he doesn't really want to. He's over it. It's just, he got enough sex and food. He's okay. He's not interested in the relationship, really.
Yeah, I can't
And the
remember. But
ashram.
when it comes back, I'll let you know.
One thought on that is just, my realization is, if I'm putting effort and she's happy, then I'm going to be happy.
Yeah.
But if she's unhappy and I'm living with her, I'm going to be miserable too, because she's upset.
Yeah, and you know the joke.
Go ahead.
When mama's not happy, nobody's happy. And when papa's not happy, nobody cares.
I never heard that. Okay, I thought of the thing.
True? Wait a minute.
Oh,
Men,
sorry.
is it true?
Yes.
Yeah. So, it's just a reality. When I was teaching the self-care course, I had a realization that if I care about myself, I will care about my wife's happiness. Because as Maternov said, if my wife's not happy, I suffer. So it can be very selfish to care for the other person, although we're not motivated selfishly to do it. But if you need a little extra impetus that comes from something selfish, it's actually in your self-interest to keep your spouse happy, because you will be happy and peaceful. Yeah.
You can start there, and then when you get it, you're like, oh, this is actually much sweeter.
Yeah. Or like we were saying yesterday, one of the biggest problems we see is people enter a relationship thinking all the things they're going to get from the other person, not thinking all the things they're going to give to the other person. And I have heard marriage experts talk about marriage, basically the 8th verse of Shikshastakam. You should be in this marriage only to see your partner happy. That's a successful marriage. And for most young people, it's like, well, if that's what a marriage is, count me out, because I'm in it, for this, and this reason. But statistically speaking, that's what makes it work. Not that you deny your own needs, but you're very focused on making your partner happy. And once one devotee said, if you see a married woman and she's happy, generally you can understand she must have a good husband. Or vice versa. Isn't it? Yeah. Like when I go to a temple and devotees are happy, I go, good temple president. Everyone's not happy. I'm like, not good. It's just like kind of, you can just understand it quite quickly. You wanted to say?
Yeah, just two little things. Okay, so I think I mentioned it yesterday, but I'll mention it again. It seems appropriate.
Really?
Is that sometimes we have to be willing to put a lot of effort and energy into someone, something, to get back what we really need. And we'll call it a need, not a want, because there's a difference. So if there's these needs that aren't being met and you've tried the obvious way to get them from your husband and it's not working, then you have to get a little bit more creative and resourceful to see if there's any hope and potential to get that. And the way to do that, even though we generally don't want to do it, is to invest more energy into them, and get more interested in them and what they do and who they are and what makes them tick. So I'll just give you a mundane example, but it's from my training. So there was this woman, and she felt like her husband just wasn't really paying much attention to her. She felt neglected. And so I was observing a counseling session. So the counselor said, well, maybe you need to get a little bit more interested in him and what he does. So what's he really into? So she said, oh, he's obsessed with baseball, which is a sport in America where you take a bat and hit a ball. And there's all these teams and
Very
blah, blah, blah.
exciting.
Anyway, it's a sport. And he knows the name, this is his favorite team, and he knows every person on the team and what their batting average is and blah, blah, blah. And so the counselor said, well, why don't you do a little research and find out more about the players on the team, especially the favorite players. And when the Sunday game comes on, why don't you go and sit with him and say, oh my God, look, he did that, he did that. And so she did. She said, hey, the game's coming on. I heard so-and-so is going to be the top hitter, and the husband was like, yeah, how'd you know that? And then she said, I just learned it recently. I want to watch the game with you. And he said, okay. And she made the popcorn and brought in the drinks and the pizza, and then they sat and they watched the game, and she was totally into the game, and they go, yeah, woo, woo. And like she said, that one thing was completely transformative. He felt so loved and validated and appreciated, and that she was interested in what he's interested in, and it just literally changed, because then she came back and gave a report a month or two later, and she said since that, showing that she's interested in the game and sitting and watching the game and making the popcorn, everything changed in the relationship. So, you may want to try a new strategy. Instead of this is what I need, this isn't working, can you please, something really different and slightly radical. Yeah. There's a question back there. Do you have the microphone?
Oh, yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Like I said yesterday, I was in a 35 years marriage. My husband left body 7 years ago. And I was giving in our marriage, I thought that I was giving the right thing of my side. And my husband, he was very good too. But when I was coming here to listen to the Shastras, I was crying for 3 months, because it was so, why I didn't know this all before. It has to be just little things that our marriage will be perfect. Therefore, I'm so thankful that Mahatma and Janavi Mataji gives us here all these instructors, and I beg you, hear all of what that you are hearing. Please try to make advantage out of this. Try. I know it is hard, but it is good to know that we have this all knowledge, because that is the instructors that we could read here every day. So thank you. I'm so really thank you that we have the opportunity to have you here and to listen to your lectures every day. So please make advantage out of this. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. I don't think the men will need as much time. Do you?
I don't know.
We're going to go to the men, but I'm making an assumption that men will be faster, because they just want, 2 things, and a little respect, and that's about it.
I don't know about that.
Do you have anything
Very
from
old
about?
school.
Do you have anything more off your list for men? Qualities of a man that you would like to see in a good husband? Well, maybe let me ask you this: because you are a marriage counselor, what are the qualities you see in men in good marriages?
Well, they give their wives a lot of attention, and they make them feel, I think I said this the other day, they make them feel like the most beautiful, wonderful woman in the world. You know, like, yeah, like, you know, Sita and Ram kind of thing, you know. Yeah, that, you know, paying them compliments and making them feel beautiful and pretty and attractive, and just letting them know they appreciate whatever they're doing, whether it's the cooking or the work or the children or the cleaning or whatever they do, the gardening, making the house pretty, new pillows, new candles, whatever. Just because women really, they like, I mean, everybody likes to be validated. That's definitely a human need. And I think women like to be validated on just those little small things that mean a lot to them, and they're not just doing it for themselves. They're doing it to create a kind of more warm, loving atmosphere, right? That's why we do all those things, because we just think it enhances the environment. It enhances the space and the environment and the feeling. And since women really thrive on feeling, they want their husband to acknowledge all the little things they've done, and that it's making the feelings better for both of them. Does that sound right? Yeah.
Okay, so I have something, maybe, and I mentioned this yesterday from the male point of view. So, a lot of, well, maybe not so many, but a lot of men are coming from brahmacharya ashram, or they're single, obviously, and they're trying to cultivate some kind of renunciation and sense control and emotional control and so on. And, you know, they're very focused on the mission, spreading Krishna consciousness around the world, helping people, and they're thinking in those terms. And men have philosophical brains, so they're thinking philosophy. So when they hear this, in their mind it's like, this has no place in Krishna consciousness. This is just mundane stuff. So how would you respond to that?
I would say then don't get married. I don't know what you're talking about. That's not ringing a bell with me. Does that ring a bell with you all? And be really honest. Raise your hand if you totally relate to what he just said.
I thought that way in the past.
Does anyone here feel that way right now?
No.
It's an old paradigm. Young men don't
He
feel
feels
that way.
that way. No.
I just want to say, actually, when you do something, like, you know, you need to apply exactly the same things, like, to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs respect, to be heard, to be praised.
Yeah.
The more you
Okay.
praise, the more they respond.
Yeah. This new generation doesn't think like our generation. They don't think cultivate this, cultivate that. They want to get married and have a nice life.
Okay.
So I don't think it's a...
But we mentioned this yesterday, and we had a lot of buy-in yesterday. Maybe they've got purified in the last day
I don't know.
or something.
You mentioned it.
What?
What's that?
As we see, no one in orange is here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned it because it was in your class, but I don't think it was like a buy-in and everybody agreed. You were just
Okay. No problem.
expressing that
One problem we don't.
philosophically. So I think I'm sure there are a few people who
Well,
think
no.
that
Let
way,
me
but
maybe
in general not.
maybe let me rephrase it. It's I think for some men that may be not come so easy.
Well, I
It's
think
something, yeah.
easier than you think.
Okay.
You're a different generation. You
Okay.
had different training and,
Yeah, it could be.
you know,
It's true that we need to learn.
and they're willing to learn. Look
Yeah.
at these nice
They
young
need. They
men here.
definitely. They need to learn. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to say something? Or you just have the microphone? Oh, I thought you wanted. Okay. We have a half hour left, and we haven't discussed the qualities that men want to see in women. But I just want to make sure to give you a chance. Are there any other male qualities that are coming to mind right now that you feel are important for the men to hear? Okay, good. All right, guys, you got a good education, right? Yeah, okay. So now it's the men's turn, and we want to ask the men,
Gotta get the microphone over there.
what qualities what do you define as female, or what do you like to see in a woman, and or what you don't like to see?
What sort of breaks your spirit? Because I know men have strong spirits, but then there are certain things the women do that break the spirit, and that the men are sort of quiet people, so they may not say that it's broken their spirit, so then the women don't even know.
Hare Krishna. Maybe this is also all dated, but for me it's important that the woman is following.
Following?
Following.
Following
what?
you or following Krishna consciousness, or both?
Following what?
For example, like my wife, she's very simple, and I just call her one day and I say, hey, listen, in 1 month we are getting married. And she was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. But she also told me before that she actually likes that.
To follow.
Yeah, that kind of.
She's not argumentative.
Yeah.
She's really easygoing.
Agreeable.
Yeah. Well, I gave that example the other day of that religious Jewish couple, and in their tradition, the man makes all the decisions. It's the most religious Jewish sect, and they're the Orthodox, and so it's very much like a man's world. But for this couple, it wasn't really working. The woman didn't feel honored or respected or included. So the way they made it work was that they discussed everything like as equals, and then he finally just said, and that's our decision, I've made the decision, but, behind closed doors, they made it together. So,
well, let's ask Vrindavan. If she said no, what would you do?
We will discuss it, no?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Good, okay, thank you.
yeah.
So
Some women may be a little bit more easygoing than others. You got an easygoing one. So it's just natural and easy, and you kind of have maybe that spoken or even unspoken rhythm in your relationship. It's just natural. But for other women and men's dynamics, because every couple has different, it may not be as natural. But it doesn't mean it can't be done like that example I gave, but there has to be discussion first before, it feels like she's officially agreed to follow, kind of thing.
Yeah.
and also if it's easy to follow if you make good decisions.
Yeah, that's what I want to add. We're supposed to make good decisions, which eventually is a Krishna conscious decision, which makes us grow, and then it's easier for them.
And then from the other side, sometimes the husband makes a bad decision, so it would be wrong for the woman to remain silent. And then you make the mistake, and then you say, why didn't you say anything? Well, I just wanted to follow you. I wanted to be supportive. That would also be a mistake, right? Especially younger men, they one of the reasons they get married is because they want that input. And maybe in a more traditional marriage they don't, but I think younger people do. Thank you. What else? Do you want to see in a woman, or what you consider female? Yes?
One thinking connection, maybe like we don't want to be opposed in public, like if we get some correction in privately, it's different.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Don't correct your husband in public. And I think another part of public is don't tell about your husband to other people, because that's similar. It's a similar thing.
Unless it's nice.
Oh, nice, of course, yeah. But if you're having problems or your husband says to that, you keep that to yourself. it's going to be very upsetting for the husband. And the male ego is much bigger than the female ego. So when you're saying something to him publicly, you shouldn't do that, why'd you say that? It's very hurtful for the man. And yeah, and I personally think it's embarrassing for the woman, because people will look at you and say, well, I feel sorry for this guy, look at this wife, she's right in front of all of us, So it's embarrassing for you to do that, because people will think, well, what's up with you? So sometimes, if we're criticized publicly, we're more embarrassed for our wife than for us, because it looks really bad. So it's something to consider. Thank you for that.
Especially when emotions are not controlled and you're seeking some answers too soon, then it's very common you hear things you even don't want to hear about others.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Right here.
If the man is being vulnerable and authentic, that the woman, if she's maybe a little triggered, that she tone her feedback down, because the man is coming across and saying, hey, yeah, okay, I see that I've done this, and I really care. And if the woman keeps being hard on him when he's doing that, he won't want to do it so much. It'll discourage him.
Good one. Nobody wants to be criticized, especially when they're being vulnerable. And for a man, it takes so much courage to do that. So women have to really lean into their soft, sensitive, gentle nature when a man is, presenting himself to her and trying to open up and share and connect and communicate, and rather than focus on what he didn't do right, or the thing he left out, or the thing that's annoyed you that he didn't do like last week or something. Just focus on the fact that, wow, he's coming to you right now and trying to be vulnerable and honest and authentic, and stay really present in that moment, not let your mind go off into other things that he didn't do perfectly. Because I think women tend to hold grudges longer than men. I think we tend to remember all the little things they didn't do, and we'd hold on to that, and it gets in the way of really being appreciative of the things he does do. I think the men let go of it much quicker. All right, whatever, they move on. I think we have a harder time moving on, maybe because we're more sensitive, we take things more personally, but that can really get in the way of that kind of goodness and appreciative and that positive culture that we talked about yesterday. So you have to be willing to let go of, yeah, okay, I was disappointed, or all right, it didn't work out the way I wanted, but look, he's doing this now. So instead of thinking of all the times he didn't do it, appreciate when he does do it and build on that and let him know how much you appreciate it. And then he'll keep doing it. So you have to help him overcome, what he didn't do, to help build up his capacity to deliver and do and please.
1 second. I heard a story. I was in a marriage workshop, and the question was, how do you get your husband to do something he doesn't want to do? And so they gave the advice, well, before you ask him, tell him, you're amazing, and you're like the best husband, and you're so intelligent, you're so strong, you're so this, you're so that, And do you think you could help me fold the laundry? And the lady tried that and said immediately he folded the laundry once she did that. So you have to understand, ladies, you have to understand the male ego is a different animal than your ego. And images, it's just hard to understand. But in what I've read, they say that men need respect, relish respect much more than love. And so they ask men, well, what's more important to you, love or respect? And they will say, respect. And they'll say, not love? And they go, not really. That's, but for women, love is much more important than respect. And so if you don't give the respect to the man, maybe it's not that important to you, so you don't understand how it hurts him. So you really want to keep that in mind, because that's, I think, the most sensitive part of a man is that need for respect. It's really, like bullying is all about disrespect. If you want to make someone feel really horrible, you'll bully them. And so, and I think also, like they say, behind every Caesar there was a Cleopatra. If a woman is supporting a man, you're really good at this, you can do this, and so on, he'll be more successful than if it's like, you bum, you'll never be successful. Why are you even trying that? It's like, how is that going to help anything, right? So you'd be surprised that I think men can do tremendously better if they have a woman behind them saying, yeah, you're amazing. You are so good at this. You're one of the best. And all of a sudden you're like outperforming everyone because your wife said you're better than everybody. And it means a lot to you. Just as it means a lot when she says, you're never going to be good at this. Why waste your time? You're a loser. That can have a huge effect. Yeah.
I just want to add quickly to that is it's really hard when you do take accountability and be vulnerable, and then the woman keeps bringing it up over and over. It's like,
yeah.
Get me out of here. It's
It's I wrote a Vyas Puja offering in the 90s, and it was all about how Prabhupada was setting an example in so many areas, and I was seeing it, but I wasn't following it. And so, it was kind of extreme. We sometimes say, I have no qualities, and all I think about is sense gratification. I have no good qualities. I just think of sense gratification. I'm lazy, I can hardly chant properly. And you say these things, trying to be humble. So I had one disciple who turned against me, and she used that Vyas Puja offering as evidence that I wasn't qualified to be a guru. Isn't that interesting? So I'm just underscoring what you were saying. So be careful. Yes?
Just quick comment. I totally want to agree with that. Sometimes I think women, because men don't express their emotions so much, then women think
we don't have emotions.
We don't have emotions, and then they can, so to say, like hit us hard or smash us. And that makes us even more not to try to change. Because for me personally, it's difficult to express emotions and feelings and needs. And when I start to, if I get smashed, then I think like, why should I bother again?
Yeah.
So that's
that's Materna saying, also similar. But the first thing you said is really interesting for ladies, It's like you look at men and we're like really tough, It's just like we don't. You say something and we're just like whatever, but inside it's not whatever. It's like it hurts. We can just be straight faced and like just swallow it. But it's a withdrawal, and it's a big withdrawal when you do that. Big deposit when you say you're great. Big withdrawal when you think you can smash us because we don't care. In some cases we don't, but in many cases we do, we just don't show it. Good point. And any other men?
Can I ask you something regarding this?
Yeah.
Like as a man, like whatever you're doing and the woman is telling you, wow, you're so good, I'm so proud of you, you're not getting like, oh, she's just saying this, you always get it as a serious.
It depends how she says it and how often she says it. If it's genuine, no. If you actually think, like, someone will like, well, say, why don't you praise me? Because I don't want you to become proud. or you already know you're great, I don't have to tell you, that's not good strategy. No. If you genuinely feel it, just say it. I mean, you can't fake it, but just know that if you want to see more of a behavior, praise it. Right? So, I think it's also good if your husband, if you're understanding, you already know, but you're also understanding how difficult it is sometimes for men to do certain things. And so if they do it, it's good to praise it and say, thank you for doing that. I know it was hard for you, but I really appreciate it. Because it's like appreciation is necessary so you know whether to repeat what you just did. Because if you don't get it, how do you know you should do it again? It's like, what's the use? I did it and nobody appreciated it, so I guess she doesn't care. So, like, wow, that was really good. I know that was difficult for you. You really expressed yourself well and you were really vulnerable or whatever it was. It's like, yeah, it's easier to do it the next time. Or like I was saying, the husband wants to please the wife, so if you give indications of what pleases you, that's good. Like my wife told me, he said, it's really a big deposit if you wash the pots. So I become a really good pot washer. I just put my headphones on and listen to lectures, so it's, I like to clean, but because if she didn't say that, I probably wouldn't be so attentive to it. But a lot of times there's, big pots, and I know she appreciates it. So even if she doesn't say anything, I know it's like, yeah, I automatically, I don't even have to get it because I already know, because she told me, right? And I'm not a very good handyman, but I get bonus points if I fix something, because she knows I'm a little, that's not my forte, and sometimes I'll fix something and she'll faint. And when she wakes up, she's like, wow, thanks for doing that. I didn't know you could do it. I exhibit my, fixing Shakti sometimes, yeah. Well, you wanted to? Did you? No. What else? You want to add to the list of what?
Something else, if nobody else has any.
One more question.
Okay.
So, how is for you as a man, when you ask to do something, and then you say, yeah, I will do it, and then doesn't do it, and then you say another time and another time. How is this for men when he hears this like 10 times?
Why he hears it 10 times and doesn't do it? I guess it could be different for different men. Like one could be, well, she can do it, and if I don't do it, she's going to do it anyway, and I'm busy. It's not important. They don't think, like we don't need it done. I don't know. Can't speak for everyone. I'm not that bad, am I?
What's the
If you like you asked me to do something, I just forget it.
He always does it. He's very, very. He gets a A+ in that area, and I get like a C-. I'm really bad in that area. I'll say yeah, and I don't. But he's expert.
Well, then I can then I can answer why I do it, so which may help you. It's because, as I said yesterday, when I gave that course on vows, I realized how we so nonchalantly say yes, and we don't do it. And that whole course on vows was if you say it, you have to do it. You have to live your word. And so it went so deep in me that if ever I say I'm going to do it, it's pretty rare I don't, because I take it as a personal integrity. So you can have that discussion about personal integrity. It's like don't say you're going to do it if you're not going to. It's like it's okay. If you just say I can't do it or I don't know how to do it, that's better than telling me you're going to do it. But if you say you're going to do it, then then you are your word. And so if you say you're going to do it and you don't, you let yourself down as well as me. Prabhupada said that you are your word. And so you make a promise and you don't even do it, you degrade your own trust in yourself. Like if I promise you to do something and I don't do it, I'm degrading self-trust. Yes?
I'm not sure if it works with spouses, but with our adult daughter, I'll just say, well, you don't want me to keep bugging you, right? So if you just do it, then I don't have to keep bothering you anymore. But if you don't do it, I'm going to, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? And that often works. She's like, oh yeah, I don't have to hear her asking me anymore, so I'll just go and do it. I don't know, it's not the highest level, but sometimes just say, I don't want to keep having to ask you, and you don't want me to keep asking you. So if you can just do it, we're done.
I have one for men. John DeVoe was saying, like, the female is the mother, the nurturer, the soft. So when a woman exhibits too much male Shakti, it's like, aggressive, loud, heavy, angry. It's like, it's a real negative. Am I correct? Yeah, because it's like you didn't marry a man, you married a woman. And when the woman starts acting like a man, it's like, I didn't pay for a man, I paid for a woman. What went wrong, So, you have to remember, the reason they got married to you is because you're a woman. And they didn't want to marry a man. I mean, some male energy is attractive, It's like if the car breaks down and you got it all figured out, it's like, oh, cool, But aggression, too much aggression and dominance and chastisement, it just doesn't work. That's a real good way to turn your man off. You had something? Yeah.
Yeah. I just heard I wanted to say something on that point, that I heard women that do jobs that are hard, like a policeman or like construction work, a lot of time they take on this more masculine and they bring it home. And it's hard for them to turn it off. At the point.
Yeah. I have a comment. I have an anecdote. There was a devotee who was put together with a woman policeman devotee, and they both had to go somewhere, a long trip, so they just drove together. And he told me that was the worst experience in his life he ever had. Because she's used to, she's a cop. She's used to telling people what to do. Yeah.
I mean.
So when the cop comes home, she has to become a woman. Yeah. That's a good point.
There's professions that are a lot softer nature, more feminine nature. You can be considerate of that. What I was going to say is that men also like affection, even physical affection. Massaging him, touching him. We like that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. What else do we like or not like? Yes?
So maybe this is also a bit generic. In a way, when you do some mistake, maybe some bad decision, it's still important that some support is felt.
Mm-hmm.
So she don't look the other way, for example, and search where is the man that will feel this need for her.
She works with you, has faith in you. You want to say something?
Yeah, I think that's such a good point, that no one's perfect. So even when you do something stupid or dumb or whatever, we should still stand by them and support them and say, that's okay, you tried, or you'll do better next time, or I appreciate your effort, or it's not that big of a deal. Like, they still need to feel encouraged and loved, and that they're not a failure because they made a mistake, because we all make mistakes. And think about it. If your friend did the same thing, you would say, it's okay, it's not that bad, don't worry. But just because it's your husband, you think you can say, oh, that was so dumb. But no,
And then sometimes the man, the woman says, let's go do this and that, and he says, no, I don't want to. Well, when you have experiences like that, why would you want to hang out with this woman who's always undermining you? Because it's like, well, I failed at this, and she called me a loser, so when's it going to happen again? Better I just, stay in my cave, and then I'm safe. So that's important. Maybe we should write a book, How to Destroy a Man, in 10 easy steps. We have 3 minutes. Yeah. Shanava would like to say some concluding words. No, she wants me to say some concluding words. The only thing not the only thing, the main thing that comes to mind when I think of Grihastha Ashram is a place where we are challenged to rise to a higher level of Krishna consciousness within an environment that is full of challenges. And that if we face those challenges and we become successful, we become Krishna conscious, and we become excellent role models for successive generations. And if our marriages continually fail, what kind of message does that send to the next generation? And as I said, it is an ashram, and if we see it as something we need to perfect, I think it's extremely important. It's a place where we can manifest the 26 qualities. And if we're, like Janava said, if you're going to enter it, then you have to be willing to play by the rules and understand what it is. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It's like you're playing a game, but you're breaking all the rules. So I think it's something that we really need to help successive generations master, because it is an ashram. And it is the foundation of society, married life. And when you have dysfunctional relationships, your kids suffer, and then we produce generations of children that have difficult times. Back in the early 70s, when my generation was having children, we lived a very, very renounced life, too detached to actually raise families in many cases. And we were much more strict with our children than I think practically every family is today. And statistically, there's very few of those children that are devotees, even though their parents are devotees, and their parents are really strict, because the family was not healthy. And so you can't make kids Krishna conscious, even if you give them 108% Krishna conscious, if it's not within the foundation of a healthy family. That's extremely important. And so it's like we're saying, you become a devotee and your husband's not a devotee, but he's a nice man and he's good, and you want to divorce him. I was like, that's dysfunctional. So I think what happened to us in that generation is we just didn't put enough energy or give enough importance to the ashram. We gave importance to making other people Krishna conscious. And I think it also comes within the area of self-care. We didn't care enough about our own stability. So when I think of Grihastha Ashram, that's what I think. I think of the need for stability and maturity. And where there's a lack of